Malcolm Vial.
What the fuck?
I know! No rebuttal. Finally. I feel bad that this is anywhere besides 12. Well, if we learned anything today, it's that we fucking suck.
We don't know shit about cEDH.
I know. Welcome back to the Casting Cost cEDH podcast. I'm Blake.
And I'm Chase, and today we're using AI to help us make a video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a better break or like a more in-depth breakdown, or do you want me to explain what we're doing?
How about you go through and explain today
Fair enough.
what is going to
Okay.
happen? This is your idea.
Absolutely. So me and Chase got together and we were, we like two great planners and content creators that we are. We had no idea what we were going to talk about. So we decided to ask ChatGPT if it could give us a random list of 12 decks from the top 50 decks from EDH Top 16. And then we're going to try and rank them 1 through 12. And we're going to do the rankings separately. And then we're going to see who is closer based off of, obviously, EDH Top 16's top 50 list.
So, but I guess before we get into it, did you say like what the stipulations part that we're going through on this? Like you just said the top 50 ones, right?
Yes.
Just making sure. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. So this list that ChatGPT has given me is in no particular order. It literally said, it goes, here are 12 decks selected randomly from the top 50 on EDH Top 16 presented in no particular order. And then it gave me the list. And I'm not going to lie to you, looking at it, it definitely looks like it is in no particular order.
Okay.
I don't know where
that's good.
going to go.
The only other stipulation I can kind of think of that we agreed upon was going to be that we have a top 10 ranking that's going to be at random, and we have 2 extra spots as throwaway spots. Like if we feel like this deck does not deserve to be like in this top 10 ranking whatsoever, those are our like throwaway categories. Everything else is going to be random. And I think, are you okay with doing it like one card at a time? Just like explaining what the card is, and then we put it on a list. Cool.
Yeah, I think
Awesome.
that is great. Okay. So do you want to? So we're gonna write our answer down for the deck separately, right? And then we'll justify what we said for it and kind of go from there.
Let's do this. Let's do it this way. Let's go through it one at a time, explaining what the card is. No in depth of the like our justification for it just yet.
Okay.
And once we have the full 12 listed, we can start at 10 and work our way up for justification.
I like it.
Okay.
See, and this is why Chase does the intros. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. So we'll go with the first one. So the first card that is on this list.
I'm scared.
Yes, it's pretty tough. Ob Nixilis Captive Kingpin. So Ob Nixilis is a legendary creature demon, flying trample. Whenever one or more opponents each lose exactly 1 life, put a +1/+1 counter on Ob Nixilis Captive Kingpin. Exile the top card of your library until the end of until your next end step. You may play that card. Okay, yep. And then we'll hide it from each other so that we don't The second card on this list is Kennen Bonder Prodigy. So for those who don't know what Kennen does, he's green and a blue. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produces. And then for 5 green and a blue, you can look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
You won't put it as number 1. You don't like 2 mana commanders.
Shut up. The third card is Stella Lee Wild Card. 1 blue and a red, and it says whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play that card, and then tap, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only if you've cast 3 or more spells this turn.
Maybe my list is going to be the chaotic one today.
It's probably going to be fucked.
Dude, I'm going to put Tolarian Academy as number 1.
Okay. Damn, this list is going to be hard, bro. The fourth card on the list is Derevi Imperial Tactician. Flying, when Derevi ETBs, or whenever a creature you control does combat damage to a player, you may tap or untap target permanent. And then, 1, and then green, white, blue. You may put Derevi onto the battlefield from the command zone.
I don't know about you. I feel pretty solid about mine so far.
Do you?
I feel pretty good about it.
I'm just thinking.
I say that I'm gonna get absolutely fucked at the end of this though.
The fifth card on our list is Time Luminous Enigma. So Time is 1 and Abzan, and each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional vigilance counter on it. You can pay 3 generic mana, remove 3 counters from among creatures you control, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, then return a permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Dude, that's my number 1.
Is it?
Yeah. You know better than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Number 6 is Krark the Thumbless and Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. Okay. So Krark is 1 in a red. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, return that spell to its owner's hand. If you win the flip, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces is 3 in a blue, and it has, you may have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima of 1,000 Faces' other abilities. The Legends rule doesn't apply to permanents you control, and it also has partner. Number 7 is Malcolm Vile.
Malcolm Vile?
Yeah. So Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator says 2 in a blue, flying. When 1 or more pirates you control deal damage to an opponent, you create a treasure token for each opponent dealt damage, and it also has partner. And then Vile Smasher the Fierce is 1 blue and a red, or 1, Jesus Christ. Vile Smasher the Fierce is 1 black and a red, and it has, whenever you cast your first spell each turn, choose an opponent at random. Vile Smasher the Fierce deals damage equal to that spell's converted mana cost to that player or a planeswalker that player controls. Also has partner.
I'm going to need a moment on this one.
I told you. Yeah. The 8th card that we're going to talk about today is Talion the Kindly Lord. So it's 2 blue and a black, and it says flying. As Talion enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value, power, or toughness equal to the chosen number, that player loses 2 life, and you may draw a card.
Yeah, my list is fucked.
Is it?
I think. I don't know. I think I'm still in it. But it's... These last 2 were tough.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And honestly, the spots that I have left, I'm hoping that the cards are just not absolute garbage.
You ready?
Yeah.
I love you, Chase. You crack me up so much. This is fucked. Like, for real fucked. Okay. Number 9, Glarb Calamity's Augur. So he is black. Oh, Jesus Christ. He is black, green, blue, and has Death Touch. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library. Tap, Surveil 2. Yeah, okay.
I'm good on that one. I'm good.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm basically just like scrolling so that all I can see is like the next thing.
That makes me feel a little
Yeah, because I didn't want to like absolutely fuck you. I'm like, wait a minute, I know the cards, and then he doesn't. So.
At least wine and dine me before you decide to do that.
Absolutely. At least film a podcast with me. You ready for number 10?
He's gonna bring in the couch. Yep.
It's about time for some Patreon content. By the time we hit 10, we got to start monetizing somehow.
Oh my god. Yeah, let's move on to the next one.
Okay. Number 10. Atraxa Grand Unifier.
Oh shit.
So yeah, it's basically 3 and then everything but red. Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. When Atraxa Grand Unifier enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each card type, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
I'm scared on these last 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Number 11. Najila the Blade Blossom. Yeah. So 2 in a red, and says whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. And for WooBurg, you can untap all attacking creatures. They gain trample, lifelink, and haste until end of turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. Activate this ability only during combat.
Yeah, my list is fucked. I'm good. I'm just gonna full send it at this point.
Full send it?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I think we might be good over here, Chase.
Of course you would be. Laptop guy.
I mean, we can do it on the list.
No, this is fine. Oh, this is a fucking joke.
And then the last commander on this list is Yuriko the Tiger Shadow.
Oh, for the fucking content.
Yuriko the Tiger Shadow is one. It doesn't matter. It's just black and blue, but it has Commander Ninjutsu. And whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost.
Oh, that just fucking saved my list.
Really? It needs to go at the bottom. Okay. Alrighty, brother. We've got our list.
All right.
We don't know the true order yet. We haven't asked ChatGPT.
No, we won't ask that until the end.
Okay.
So do you want to start? How do you want to start with this? Do you want to start with the ones that we excluded from our top 10, or do you want to start at number 10? All right.
So what were your two throwaways?
Okay.
I'm just curious.
So my number 12, I put Malcolm Vile Smasher.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was my first throwaway that I did. I just think that as far as looking at the types of decks that are in the actual top 10, when you have Rogsai, you have Blue Farm, you have Rog Thras, things like that we've discussed before, you already have a better Grixis pile, you have another better Grixis pile plus a color, and then it feels like the Rog Thras deck has a little bit more consistency, I think, at times than what the Rog side does. And I don't know. I don't. Vile Smasher is interesting. The Malcolm is obviously like the important part of this deck, being the blue, but I just don't think it's as strong as what it once was, especially like out of all, I guess, the Grixis color combos, they got hit the hardest, like post ban. I feel like that's the deck that probably got hit the worst.
I agree that Malcolm lists are objectively just worse now,
Yeah.
but I don't think that they're that bad.
Okay.
So I actually did not put that there. My number 12 was actually Krakashima.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. I think that it's really, really hard to get to the Sakashima in this, in this now, because it's 4 mana. So you're taking a couple turns to actually get there, and the game plan is pretty linear. You have to get to Krark early, then get to Sakashima. People kind of know the way to deal with this list, and it's as soon as the Sakashima's cast, it has to copy something you have. So if you can just get rid of the Krark right then, the list just folds.
Yeah.
And I think people have figured that out now, and so I just don't think that the list is doing too hot. I don't know, but I don't think the list is doing too hot.
My number 11 was actually Tyum.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't know how the fuck this deck plays.
Yeah.
I've never seen it played. I've never played it. I know it's like Abzan Stacks, right? Is that pretty much how it is? And Stacks is not in a great position in the format right now.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. My number 11, so my other throwaway, was actually Stella Lee.
Okay. Yeah. Just fucking hating on Izzet today.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily that it's not that I don't like Izzet. I just don't think that, I think that right now with where everybody's at, I feel like people are leaning really hard into Esper color pies, things like that. So it just is what it is. And so I think that Izzet's just kind of having a hard time with the consistency piece.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, having the tutors to get to what you need to. So I just don't think that people are on that as much. And even now, you've got other 2-color commanders the what the hell? The starfish guy. I keep forgetting his name. Plagon, yep. Stuff like that. So I just don't think that Stella's gonna crack the top 10. But again, I could be wrong.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Yeah. So at number 10,
okay,
the official start of the list.
Yep.
At number 10, I have Talion the Kindly Lord.
Oh, okay.
At the number 10 spot. So to some extent, I can almost make kind of the same argument you made with the Krark Sakashima, where I feel like people know how to play against this deck. Where obviously Talion comes down, and then you're playing the Sakashima in the 99 and the Spark doubles and things like that. If you play that type of build for the deck where you're trying to do this like pseudo stacks it out and get multiple triggers off the Italian triggers and things like that. Like people know how to play around that now. So it's not as good as whenever it first came out, but it's still within really strong colors, being in Dimir, and you're still having access to the Thassa's Oracle and Demonic Consultation, Tainted Pact, things like that. It's a very interesting play pattern though for Dimir that I think can work if you're in the right pod, but I think it just kind of barely edged out over the other ones that I had just talked about with the knockoffs from the top 10. And I'm actually okay with it being in the 10th spot because I think that out of the ones we listed, I think that's kind of fitting for this card.
That's fair. I could see that. My 10 was actually Time, Luminous Enigma.
Okay.
So yeah, so I thought that I thought that Time actually deserved to be in the 10 spot because same thing, Abzan is just not doing too hot right now anyways. I think that more people are leaning into blue just because it feels kind of safe. And so people are just, they gravitate towards it. It's got the best draw engines. And honestly, Time just doesn't seem like something good to be doing right now. Like you really need, like with him being such a big commander and like you trying to get him down, you needed things like your Jeweled Lotuses and other stuff to be able to get him down pretty consistently. And then he had like crazy little synergies and stuff that he could do with just like graveyard interactions. But I feel like everybody that played Time is essentially just switched to like Tim the Thras, if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, because like it's essentially all Time is just like an infinite mana outlet in the zone. But then you also have to play this weird strategy where like you have counters and stuff on things as well. So you need the counters to remove with his ability. With Thrasios, you just need the mana. Gotcha. And it's the same color pie, but you get to add blue.
Yeah.
So I think that most of them have switched off of it. So that's why I thought that he was a 10. What'd you have for number 9?
And number 9, I have Obnixilis Captive Kingpin.
Oh, shoot. Our list is so different.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. So I put Obnixilis. I've played Obnixilis before. I really enjoyed it. I think that even though Rakdos isn't necessarily like in a contender for like strongest colors, it does have a lot of really unique synergies where you're playing like the Cataract Parasites and you're also doing like the Firebrand Archers and those type of effects where like if you like for the Firebrand Archers and the Kessig Flame Callers, like you're when you cast a spell, you're pinging your opponents for 1 on Nexus triggers. You do the Cataract Parasite anytime an opponent would draw a card, they take a point of damage, more Obnixilis triggers. He's beefy once he hits the board. Like he definitely is a commander that if he hits the board, he's like instantly a threat.
Okay.
And like I'm not even talking just yet about the things that your opponents do.
Yeah.
You know, fetches are so prominent in the format. Okay. If there's a mana vault on board, that's triggering the Obnixilis. You know, if Necropotence, like if you're against a Rogside deck and the Necropotence or Necrodominance, and like, oh, there's a bunch of Rogside or the Obnixilis triggers right there, like it can get out of hand. Like, so, and not just with the card advantage you can generate from him being in the command zone, but the fact that if you need to go off of that game plan and start beating face and you're able to get through with this flying chunky boy, like I think he's pretty solid, but I don't think he is good enough to truly crack what I was considering for the top 5.
Okay.
On this.
Interesting. Yeah, that seems fair. I like that. We're at number 9, right?
Yep.
My number 9 was actually Traxa Grand Unifier.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the reason I put a Traxa there is because like it seems like we're seeing a lot less clones and stuff in like the meta anyways. People are not valuing those as much. And even in Atraxa, like if you had your Atraxa down, they were super useful. If you didn't have them down, then you could always like pivot to cloning other people's like Docksides and other stuff. I just think that people aren't liking that as much. And it really, really took a hit with obviously like the banning of like J-Lo, Crypt, stuff like that. Whereas like Tivit needs to be playing at like more of a control shell. So like it did get hurt, but it's teaching people to like slow down and play the list pretty like, I think how it should be played. Whereas like Atraxa now, if you do manage to get out on Atraxa, there's not really anything you can do at that point. Like you've probably tapped out. Like I would honestly say you should probably play Atali before you play Atraxa. So yeah, so that's why I put Atraxa at number 9.
All right.
Number 8.
You go to number 8?
Yeah, we'll go to 8.
So number 8, I did put Stella Lee here at number 8, just because I feel like out of the 2 commanders that got mentioned in this, like out of the 12 that we just went over, I feel like Stella is really climbing in popularity still, but I don't know. It's not as strong as it's definitely not as strong as what Dimir is, but I think that Storm decks right now just have that ability to just kind of like pop off at random, and I think that is really powerful right now. Like if you're not presenting a win on top of a win, like how it seems like we're at right now, if you could just kind of storm off and go like super early on, you're probably running away with that game. So that's why I have her there. Other than that, I don't really know too much about her. I've only played against her like maybe a couple times. But at the time she was listed so early on, I didn't think that she deserved a spot higher up. I think Obnixis was the first one we talked about. I instantly locked him at 9. But I didn't feel like Stella deserved a bottom spot either. So I was like, number 8 seems good.
That seems fair. I think that the one issue that Stella has, like I said, is just the consistency piece. And also, like, you can see the win coming a mile away. And the problem that she has is that, like, I feel like she struggles from, like, 2 fronts where if you can address, like, obviously, like, once, like, you need to cast that 3rd spell to make Stella alive. So when people start seeing you storm off and doing some stuff, it's pretty obvious that like things are fixing to get bad. Yeah. So you can, before that 3rd spell is cast, you can always just address the Stella Lee with removal. So like she's a little bit weak to removal. Then that you have the other issue over like if they do end up casting that 3rd spell, you can always just counter that spell. And then it's, you know what I mean? Like, so it's weak on 2 fronts. It's weak to the removal front. It's weak to the counterspell front. Right. So I just felt like that's why I had it a little bit lower. But I get what you mean.
Well, but even with that being said, though, we're playing in a format where there's not a lot of targeted removal.
Fair.
If you think about it. So I think that's something that she has going for it. And then 2, if you're wanting to get in a counter war, Izzet is your best.
That's fair.
Like color combination in order to do that, because not only do you have access to all the blue counter spells, you have access to all the red ones now too. You don't get that in Dimir colors.
That's fair.
And you don't get that in something like how the Sans red piles and things like that go.
Yeah. So, no, that seems fair. That actually, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that was 8, right?
Yes.
Yep. My number 8, I actually had Malcolm Vile.
Okay.
Yep. And the reason that I put this here is because I still think Grixis is a strong color pie, and I think that this has a different flavor of the Grixis list where people are playing more of the creature combo with like the Glinthorn Buccaneer and then just using the Black Tutors to like go get what you need. But then you can technically still play your other like packages of like Thassa consult type stuff there as well if that's what you want to be doing. So like I feel like it's a pretty decent color pie. But I'm kind of sad that I put it at 8. It may have needed to be a little bit further down, but that's where it's at.
Fair enough. That's why it's random. All right, going to number 7. So at 7, this is a deck that I've already kind of talked high hopes for, like earlier on. Not necessarily today, but in previous videos, but for Derevi, Imperial Tactician.
Damn, you put Derevi at 7?
I put Derevi at 7 because I don't think it's good enough right now to break into like the top spots, but I think it's still a really strong deck. I think that, especially since like with one of the strongest decks in the format being TNT, this is within that same color combo. You're just dropping the black. Like that obviously makes it weaker, but that Bant Shell is still really strong too. And you get to play a lot of really interesting lines within this, like being able to do the meal, flicker the Derevi, draw out your deck with the 1 ring. Like there's enough stuff there that I think that this deck has legs, but and like slowly like creeping into some of those top spots, but I don't think it's there just yet.
That's fair. No, I think I can agree with literally everything you just said there. So I don't see any issues with that. I do think some of the synergies it has too is really fun. So I mean, it's cool. My number 7 was actually Obnixilis, Captive Kingpin. Yep. So the reason I put Obnix here is I felt like it was the first one, so it just seemed kind of safe to stick him right in the middle. Right in the middle.
Fair enough.
He's good, and I don't know how many people I played against it. We saw a few at the tournament that we were at when we were at game nights too, and maybe that's just like small, like anecdotal bias, but it seemed fine. It was getting some wins at games and stuff, So I was like, this list doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
And I almost fed it with a Necropotence because I just wasn't paying attention. So I get it, like
right.
It, and also I just think it's in a really nice place where if you can get it down early, you can get so much advantage just without people even meaning to, like things like your pain lands and then your land, like your mana confluences and stuff, just triggering it, your fetches, everything like that.
Right.
So like just these little, and like we all know that like everybody wants to be drawing cards early on. Like if somebody sticks an early wrist stick, like that's problematic. Same thing. If Obnix is all of a sudden seeing like 4 or 5 more cards, that's problematic.
Right. No, and I agree with you on that. I think that's a good reason for it. And like where we've talked a lot about how players may not either A, be paying attention, or B, just not caring about giving, maybe the person that is in the lead for that round more advantage through cards or resources or whatever it might be. Your point there in saying that Omnixilis just kind of like accidentally makes that happen.
Yeah.
Like there's no getting around some of those things. Like sometimes the player is just like, fuck, I have to tap this mana confluence because I need the colors. Oh, Omnixilis trigger. It's not that I want to give you an extra card, but I have to because I got to do what I'm going to do in the game.
Yeah.
And I think I think I like it where it is on yours compared to where I put it on mine.
Well, even and I agree with that. And I even think that just in those counter wars and stuff like that, like you can just kind of sit back and just let stuff happen. And if people do have to tap out or if things are going wrong, like things like Force of Will, stuff like that. I mean, you're getting cards, and then you can just sneak something in whenever you get the opportunity. So I just think it's a good card. But yeah, so what was your number 6?
My number 6 is Atraxa.
Oh, okay.
I put Atraxa at number 6. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because that's my first CEDH deck.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The first one I ever put together, and I really enjoyed it. I think that whenever I was playing it at the time, I was playing it and then I switched to Blue Farm, and I actually almost went back to Atraxa.
Okay.
And part of that was from a cost standpoint. I didn't have any of the dual lands at the time. Whenever I switched to Blue Farm, I was running into this issue where I was just like, fuck, I'm fetching and shocking and hurting myself too much. I can't make Ad Naz effective. You got a big 7/7 beater with Flying Vigilance, Life Link to pad those stats and be able to get in. But like the ETB is really strong. Even though it's in the same color pile as TNT, the decks play very differently from one another. Obviously you're gonna play like the Thassa's line within this, but like you have access to a few other things. Like you have access to the food chain lines. You have access to the Teferi Displacer Kit line, which I think is honestly right now one of the cleanest lines in our format. Mm-hmm. But there's not a lot of decks that can actually take advantage of it. And Atraxa is one of those. Tivit's the other, mm-hmm. if people decide to include that. Like once that sticks, basically your only way to interact with it is being able to Aurora the Planeswalker or the kitten or whatever, mm-hmm. and stop. Well, actually, no, you have to Aurora to Fairy if there's not another silence effect on board, and then be able to interact at that point. If you don't have that interaction, then this deck just pops off.
Yeah.
I know you made the comment earlier about the clone effects, and I agree with you. I don't think clone effects are as good, but this is the deck that takes the most advantage of it. Like, you have access to the Mockingbird, Phantasmal Image, Flesh Duplicate, the Phyrexian Metamorph. Like you can play those things, and you can use it to copy your Atraxa, but you can use it to also copy the person's Orcish Bowmaster that's on the field. And those are things that are just like naturally kind of integrated into this deck, mm-hmm. That I think actually helps it out quite a bit, not just for the Atraxa plan, but for maintaining the board state and like getting advantage of other people's stuff. Like if say there's a Cannon player out, there's Nyx Blue Mansion out, let's copy that Nyx Blue Mansion, let's cast the Atraxa, and then whenever we're flipping off those top 10 cards, let's go ahead and cast it because we got all this mana now.
I think I could see an argument for that, but I really feel like the only card right now that you would really want to be cloning like obviously Orcish Bowmaster is a big one, but I feel like the only other one that I can think of would be like Seaborn Muse. But other than that, I just don't think that clones are in as good a spot. I think that having stuff like Dockside and things like that allowed you to accelerate some extra mana to then get out,
Right.
and then you could kind of do your crazy shenanigans from there because you're seeing so many cards. But I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Can't get her out on turn. I have gotten her out a few times on turn 2.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think you
So
can
it's
do that
possible.
now?
The dream. Yeah, absolutely. The deck doesn't play red. I didn't use Dockside.
No, I meant like, could you do it now, like without
Probably.
the Jeweled Lotus and the Crypt? And
I think
everything?
there's a way. I think that if you kind of retool it in a way where you're using like the Grim Monoliths and like a little bit more of the talismans in it, because I really wasn't running those at the time.
Oh, okay.
So I think you can retool it in a way. You might not get her out on 2 very consistently.
Yeah.
But I think it can happen.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, my number 6 was Talion the Kindly Lord.
Okay.
I actually think that I don't think I would have put Talion this high, but I'm actually kind of glad that I was forced to put Talion this high because I still think, I don't know for certain, and we'll find out obviously with the list, but I think Talion's just in a great shell, and she was up way high for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that it would slip that much. Like I could see it slipping some, but I still think it's probably like a pretty good deck, positioned pretty well. So I just don't think it went down that far. Like I don't think it would be lower than some of the other decks that I have below it. So I just feel comfortable with where it's at. But yeah, what is your number 5?
My number 5, I actually have Krark Sakashima here at number 5. I think right now that deck is probably the best Izzet deck, even over Stella Lee, obviously. But just as much as you said, like most people know how to play around it, things like that. Like Krark is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take that long for like him to start kind of popping off. Like, and it's not like Stella where there's a lot of setup in it. I think, and then just as much as I made that comment earlier on, like if you're gonna get in a counter war, you probably want to be in Izzet colors at least because you have access to the other counter spells that can interact with blue spells, being the Red Elemental Blast and the Pyroblast, and you probably don't run Tybalt's Trickery in there, but even Deflecting Swat, obviously. Having Krark down and then having the free interaction and then being able to, if you fuck up on a flip, always be able to just recast it again and like, counter something, maybe still return it to your hand if you have the Sakashima and you hold up those interaction pieces. Like, I think that if they both are able to resolve and they don't get touched, then it's going to be really difficult for anyone else to play that game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with what you said earlier on. Like, people probably have kind of figured this deck out and they know how to stop it. But sometimes people get lost in all those triggers. Yeah. And I think that if you have someone piloting this deck that knows how to keep up with their triggers and the way they want to resolve things and things like that, I think that this deck is still in good standing. I think it actually even won an event here recently.
Really? I didn't know that. Yeah, I just don't think this deck's good anymore. I think that, not that I don't like it. I've got it. Like, I think it's fun. It's really cool, but I just don't think it's that good anymore. I mean, that's why I made number 12 on my list. It's the bottom. But I just think that, like I said, it's not positioned as well now. The strategy is like super obvious and it's really easy to like stop. And then on top of that, you run into this weird situation where it feeds the hell out of some Ristics and Mystics and things like that. And sometimes people just get the blinders on, like Flubs players, and they just feel like they gotta fucking send it.
Me, I send it every time.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying. So
but I think even with that being said, though, like even if you're feeding the Ristic player, if you're at that point in the round and in the game, and the Krark Sakashima player is doing that, they're probably still winning that game. Like they're, even if the Ristic player is drawing 20 cards,
you're the Krark players I'm talking about.
Hey, here's my argument to that is that
I like to lose.
That player might be a little bit more limited on the type of interaction that they can actually do.
Okay.
Whereas with the Krark Sakashima player, if they continue to get their flips and they're doing the thing, then they're most likely still countering the spell and then returning it to hand, so that way they can just keep interacting with whatever they need to.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
it doesn't really matter if I'm letting you draw 20 million cards, because I'm still always going to have an answer based on having the same card in hand. Now, obviously, a fuck up can happen. And this deck goes into just like a lot of random probability of stuff. But I think when you have the ability to do that built into the commanders, I think that it can hose some other decks.
Shit kills me, dude. Fuck. But no, I mean, you've talked about this, and I've always said, I just think that if you can eliminate the luck factor somewhat, then it makes the deck better. And this deck is all luck.
You can a little bit, like play Croc's Thumb and things like that.
Yeah.
Like it's not
play into the total commander strategy.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. That deck though, you have to do that.
You have to, and I agree, and I think it's bad.
Well, you know that I play decks that are bad. Motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm just fucking with you, but yeah, I just disagree that it's this high up, but also it's a blind ranking, so I can excuse it. Did I even say my 5?
You haven't said what your number 5 is, so go ahead and tell us.
My number 5 is Doravi Imperial Tactician.
Okay.
I think that there's no arguing that this deck is good as fuck. So for the same things that you said, that's why I put it so high. I think that it's kicking ass right now, and it's in a good color pie. What's your number 4?
I don't have a rebuttal. So my number 4 is actually Glarb, Calamity's Augury.
Jesus.
What?
Nothing. I can be.
He's fucking shitting on me today.
No,
he's going, your opinions fucking suck. This dude, it was random.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I love it. That's why we did this.
This is what happens when we sit down and actually play at a table, though. This is
Exactly.
my reaction during games most of the time. So I put Glarb at number 4. So at the time I did not like. I almost put him a little bit higher. But I was like, I want to see what happens. I want to see what happens coming out of the rest of our list. And you got wide-eyed just then, so you can only imagine what my number 1 is. But I think that Sultai is proving to be a really good color combination. You have access to a lot of different and unique things in it. Even though I don't think it's as strong as Esper and Grixis, I think that it having green over one of the other colors can sometimes be a little bit of an advantage, because you can ramp out, you can do the things that this color pile is really wanting to do. Glarb just on himself being able to like fuel the graveyard and do like really unique things. You still have access to the Thassa's Oracle lines. You can. I'm assuming people are playing like the Witherbloom Apprentice, Chain of Smog type things within it. I know a lot of people are doing like the Doomsday piles with this. So I think that Glarb is in strong colors. It takes advantage of different and really unique play patterns that we don't typically see. And it's not that he's like really hard to cast or anything like that. So I think he's just a solid all-around commander in a pretty decent to good color pile. I just don't think he's number 1 on my list.
That's fair. I agree with all that about Glarb. I think he's pretty good. I think that he's good at cracking, like you said, the Doomsday piles, things like that. So I don't know. But I do think it's really, really good. No rebuttal.
Finally.
Yeah. I'm going to have a rebuttal for your rest of your list.
Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, my number 4 was Najeela the Blade Blossom.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing. I put Najeela pretty high up because I figured that obviously when we did our rankings like a couple of weeks ago, she was still really good. And I honestly figured that this list was going to be like, I didn't know how ChatGPT would splice it, so I figured it'd be like half really good, half really bad. And I was like, she's definitely going to be on the more good side of things. So I threw her all the way up at the tippy top pretty much. But yeah, I still think this deck's super strong. It's inevitable. If it was up to me, I probably would have put it below Derevi. But I still just think that it's a strong deck. And like I said, it's got that inevitability to it. So I think that it's good. And I don't know. it's a fun strategy too. I mean, who doesn't like playing creature beats in CEDH?
I ain't got nothing on it. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Especially since number 3 is Najila.
There you
the
go.
Blade Blossom for me. So yeah, I put her at number 3. I just felt like and maybe this is something that I kind of noticed just now looking through. For the most part, as I went up higher on the list, like the mid to higher part of the list, I was starting to get into color piles that were like more like 2 or more or 3 or more.
Yeah.
And Najila being our only 5 color
Mhm.
that was on this list. I think that 4 and 5 colors are still positioned like somewhat well in the format. Obviously, if we had TNT, Blue Form, Sisay, maybe Kenrith to some extent. We've talked about him a little bit before, but like, you know, I think that she's okay to go into this spot. I think that she's proven herself a little bit more than Glarb at times. Like, I think Glarb is one that I had said before maybe goes above Najila, but I think that Najila is kind of more that classic commander. Glarb, we're still trying to figure out at times. And I think that's what kind of gives Glarb an advantage, but in time, you know, just as much as you said with Kark Sakashima and then Stella Lee and some of these others, like once you figure out what the game plan of this deck is going to be, you're going to be more prepared for it. Whereas right now, I don't know if Glarb is completely figured out. Najila is.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
That's why I have her at number 3.
Sounds good. I have Glarb at number 3.
Okay.
So it sounds like exactly with what we just said, just reversed.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But no, I think that Glarb's pretty solid. And honestly, I think the only reason Glarb's performing better right now than Najila is you just have more people interested in it. It's newer.
Yeah.
It's a fresh breath of fresh air. So I think that people are they just gravitate to stuff like that. So I think that's essentially what happened here.
Which means our number 2 and number 1 are might not be the same order, but it's the same ones.
Yeah.
How much did that hurt you?
It really bad. Do you know what angina is?
No.
It's chest pains.
All right. So are you good to move on to number 2? Do you have anything else on Glarb? Or
I don't wanna.
You don't wanna? All right. Well, this is good. So number 2, I put Kennen Bonder Prodigy.
Yeah. I
wanted to put it as number 1, but I was banking on there being a better deck to put in that spot.
Fair enough.
So, I have been playing a fuck ton of Kennen here recently. I finally have the deck put together. I've been playing the shit out of it. I see why people like it.
Really?
It's a lot of fun. And now we have like 5 Kennen players in our local meta. So that's interesting. I think that this being the only deck on our list that truly kind of breaks parity on how the game is supposed to be played, I think is what made it really deserving of like either one of the top spots. And again, like hindsight, this is my number 1 deck based on this list. I'm not gonna go back and change it, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it's random, but I think that it is really strong. It's actually starting to put up better numbers now. I think that just as much as I said Najila is a deck that's been figured out, I think Kennen is a deck that's been figured out. It's also just one of those decks that it produces so much mana that if you know how to respond to the Kennen game plan, the Kennen game plan is going to come back.
Yeah.
Like he's very persistent. At least whenever I've sat down and played this deck, like there are some nuances that are a little bit different with mine. Like I'm playing both of the Drakes in mine. I'm playing the Ancestral Dragon or Astral Dragon.
Astral Dragon's solid.
In there. Like, I don't think a lot of people are on it right now, but like there have been a couple times I'm just like, I'm gonna copy those Ristic studies. And like it's pretty busted.
Yeah. I played it in my Hashaton list. It's so good.
And this is just a deck that I think someone at all skill levels could probably pick up, and as long as they can count the right way, be able to have some success with it. Yeah. And within not necessarily bracket 1 or 2, because Kennen is a game changer, but if Kennen were to be allowed even at the 1 and 2 level, I think that it wouldn't be just a dominant deck in those brackets, but someone wanting to play at that level and still play Kennen, there's enough options out there that they can make a deck like that.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I mean, I agree with everything you said. I think that what we're seeing obviously is that it's super important to be able to get ahead in the early game, and Kennen just does a great job of it with, like, you know, it comes down early, he starts giving you a ton of extra mana basically, and then I mean it's literally a deck where, you know, most people, you cast a fish and then you're stuck paying for it and not really getting to follow up with anything because it's like fish, land, pass, fish, land, pass, you know what I mean? Kennen's one of those decks that can really take advantage of like those turns. It's going to stick around for forever basically if Kennen's down on board too. Like, it's just a really, really good deck. So yeah, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it being a number 2.
What's your number 2?
Fucking Yuriko. I would have put this at 12. If I'd have known that it was the last thing on the fucking list, it would have gone at 12.
That's so funny.
I kind of got stuck. I was like, I'm saving a really high up spot for something that could be really good. Fucking mistake. It was the only spot I had left. I hate this deck. We've already established it. I don't think it's number 2. I think it's trash.
Okay.
But it's on my number 2 because I had to. That's it. That's my reasoning.
Yeah.
I didn't have a choice. It took away my autonomy.
Oh my god.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Yuriko's a fun. I can't say that.
Don't say that.
No, I think that you could build it as an okay list. I just think that it's not ever going to get played that way because people just like ninjas and they would rather just play a fuck ton of ninjas and play put a ton of, resources into the Rhystic Study players' hands and the Esper Sentinel players' hands and then just lose every game and then we're just back in full circle. And then they're going to be like, it wasn't my deck. So that's where I'm at on it. It's at 2 because I had to. But
well, here we are. My number 1, Yuriko the Tiger Shadow.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
I don't think there's no contest. This is the best deck in the format. And if you hate this deck, well, fuck you. Yeah. So
thanks so much for watching. No, if you'd like to watch me kill myself on Patreon, please.
But seriously, Yuriko Tiger Shadow number 1. For me, it's the exact same reason that you just said that this was my last spot. I kept the number 1 open for the longest time intentionally because I wanted to see how this list would progress, and then as we passed Kennen and we got through the rest of the list, I went fuck. I would have almost taken anything else over Yuriko.
Yeah.
At number 1.
Yeah.
I'd probably, if you'd said Flub's a bit on that list, this would be a true winner.
Yeah.
But we've talked enough about Yuriko in the past. I do still think it's in strong colors, obviously being in Dimir.
Yeah.
It has a lot of really unique things that it can do. And I know I've mentioned this before, not just with Yuriko, but with Najeela as well. Those are both decks that I feel like if you're going to be successful with it, you need to lean into one plan or the other.
Yeah.
It's either you go for like a straight up Dimir value, or you go for Dimir big flips and ninjas. Yeah. And I think there are too many people that try to just meet in the middle with it, and they kind of get either lost in the game or like they're just not really going anywhere with it because the deck is just trying to do too much.
Yeah.
You can build around the commander and do what the commander does, but the moment you are trying to do everything that it wants to do, I think the deck just gets clunky at that point and doesn't function the way it should.
Well, it's like the have your cake and eat it too type thing.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And that's the kind of stuff that I just don't understand with the deck. I feel like you would want to, again, and we've talked about this, like taking some of the luck factor out of things. Like you're just hoping to get this big flip, but then what do you do with the card in your hand? Like it's nice because you do damage to everybody, but then it's just a dead resource in your hand. It serves no purpose after that unless you're going to top deck manipulate to put it on top. People are going to see it coming from a mile away. Right. And then on top of that, it's hard to politic and be friendly with everybody at the table because they see you hitting our life total for
You're just shitting on
15.
everyone.
Yeah. So then immediately everybody's like, fuck that. No, I mean, I've seen people literally have 2 bowmasters on board and not even kill each other's bowmaster with the ping. They're like, let's fucking destroy this Yuriko pilot,
Right.
table. Like, just kill everything. And then they'll just like come to a mutual agreement because like the deck sucks. I hate it. Yeah, I do. And it's like, I hate it. Like, if you played it as a value pile, I think it'd be fine. Like, you're just using it to get ninjas down and just fill your hand up with really good cards. You don't even care about the bottom half. It's like, treat it like Thassa's. Only care about the thing that says, I win the game. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, don't care about the scry ability. Don't be casting it for no reason. Like, same thing with Yuriko. Hold it up and use it as like a value piece to just keep your hand full of really good cards. Cut out the Shadow Mortalities, the Omniscience, all that goofy stuff, and just play the deck in like just really good Dimir colors with lots of advantage, play your Ristics, Mystics, everything else, and then just, you know what I mean? Then you're good.
Yep.
You're fine. And if somebody does drop a Drannith, then like, I don't even think that bothers you. And then if somebody drops one of the, you can't do any activated ability type stuff, who cares? You're like, well, whatever, I didn't need Yuriko anyway. I'll just play Dimir, good pile. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, who cares? But yeah, like I said, I feel bad that this is anywhere besides 12.
All right, so it looks like we got our top 10 list now.
Oh, I didn't even talk about my number 1. It's Kennen.
Oh, did you not?
It's Kennen.
Oh, yeah, we already
Big
knew
shock.
that.
No. As soon as I heard that card, I was like, number 1. I'm not gonna chance it. Yeah, I like Kennen. Me and you both have Kennen together. It's like you said, our whole meta is Kennen at this point.
Yeah,
I just refuse to play it because everybody else has it.
I think that we're gonna get more Kennen players to just have nothing but a Kennen meta here.
That'd be, you know how
toxic. That'd be
awful.
awful.
Be funny though.
It would be a little bit funny.
That'd be so funny. Everybody's just casting their volatile drakes, stealing each other's Kennens. Yeah. But,
oh man.
But yeah, Kennen's good. I don't have anything else to say other than that. Kennen's good for the same reasons that Chase said. Kennen's good. Kennen's good.
Fair enough. So, all right, now that we have our top 10, we got these picks locked in. Let's go back to ChatGPT.
Okay.
Let's see what they say the rank.
Okay, so how are we going to do this, though? Do you want us to, like, for every time we got something right, we get a point? Or do you want the higher up numbers to be worth more? How do you want this to be?
I'd say a point.
For everything you got right, it's a point.
Yeah, everything you got right is a point.
Alrighty, let's see what ChatGPT says. Okay, so apparently so ChatGPT is basing this off MetaShare. Is that how you want to do it? Like the percentage of people that are actually playing the deck?
Yeah.
Popularity?
Yeah.
That's fine?
That's
okay.
Fine. Yeah. Fuck it. Where are you at this point in
the this is
video?
Hilarious, dude. I'm loving this. Number 12, Krakashima. Number 11, Stella Lee.
There ain't no fucking
swear to God.
There ain't no
I swear to God. Number 10, Glarb. Number 9, Obnix.
Hey!
I know.
We got a point.
Number 8, Talion. Number 7, Tyum.
Nope.
Number 6, Malcolm Vile.
Fuck no.
Number 4, Derevi. God. Number 5. Sorry, I fucked up. Number 5, Atraxa.
I was so close.
Number 4, Derevi. Number 3, Najila. Oh! Yeah. Number 2, Yuriko. And number 1 is Kennen.
Oh.
How many points did you get?
I got 2 points.
You got 2 points?
Yeah.
I got 4 points.
Man.
We did terrible.
That's ass.
We did so bad.
And he cheated.
I did not.
He cheated.
I did not. I got 4 points. I got the top 2 and the bottom 2.
That just means you're really bad at cheating.
That's terrible. We fucking suck, dude. I knew Krakashima fucking sucked though. I knew that deck was terrible. My is it hate was justified.
God.
I want to see if we can. Let's see if we can rate this based off of like their conversions.
Ooh, okay.
Can you base the list off of conversions?
All right, let's do it. Okay, round
Round 2.
fight.
This is so shit. We did even worse now.
Oh no! Don't. Well, hold up. Let's see.
Okay, number 12, Stella Lee.
No.
Number 11, Glarb.
Oh my god. Okay.
Number 10, Krakashima. Number 9, Obnixilis.
All right, we got a point.
You got a point. I don't think I have a single point yet. Number 8, Talion. Number 7, Tyam. Number 6, Atraxa.
Oh yeah.
Number 5, Najila. Number 4, Yuriko. Number 3, Derevi. Number 2, Kennen. And number 1, Malcolm Vile.
What the fuck?
I know!
Hey, but I got 3 points on that one.
I got 0.
You got 0?
0 points. That means you have 5 points. I have
5
4
points.
Well, if we learned anything today, it's that we fucking suck.
We don't know shit about CEDH.
I know decks that are really good, and I know decks that fucking suck. That's what I know. Everything in between, not a clue.
Fair enough. Yeah, I kind of feel about the same way. Like, I'm glad that I did better when we switched it to conversion rate.
Yeah.
I got 3 points.
I got 0.
Oh,
Ain't that crazy?
that is a little crazy.
I know.
Hmm.
Damn.
Well,
Isn't it crazy that Malcolm Vile was number 1
on that list,
on the conversion?
yeah,
That's insane. How does that happen?
it's the only one on here that is a Grixis pile.
That's just crazy. No, I'm talking, like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, maybe that's part of it. It is the only one that was a Grixis pile. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe that's saying Grixis is actually the best
That's crazy.
color combination currently.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
But then again, we didn't get an Esper pile in this.
Yeah.
I think that if we had, that probably would have been closer to the number 1 spot, or at least maybe edged out the Malcolm Vile deck.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we're not paid enough to know these things. And we don't have to collect the data. And all we have to do is sit back and let them listen to how much we fucking hate Yuriko.
That is correct.
So,
if you guys take nothing else from this episode, just know that with burning passion, and if you're a Yuriko fan, feel free to dislike the video. But I fucking hate Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow.
or tell us how much you really don't like Yuriko.
Yeah. Which I love you, but I don't like your commander.
All right. Well, I think this about wraps things up for today's episode.
I think so. I think this was. Go ahead. Sorry.
You going ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think that this was fun, and we should do more goofy stuff like this.
We will. I think if anything, let us know in the comments what you want to see. If you want to see more lists like this, if you have any suggestions on videos that you want to see us do, and maybe if you have a suggestion on a different card other than Yuriko for us to talk shit about, let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, and as always,
go play some CEDH.
There is important text in that, though.
Creature you control. What?
The
Legends roll. Yeah.
Legends roll.
Fuck it. I'll just read them. Editing this is going to be a fucking nightmare.
It won't be too bad.